Yo, what's going on? I'm back with another little clip here for Welcome to the Franchise. Still just talking about a little bit more the aftermath from this All-Star weekend, what's been going on in the NBA with certain narratives or certain stories that's kind of been out there, and kind of a little bit of what the issue may be with the NBA overall that leads into the weekend that just passed with the NBA All-Star weekend and the kind of stars we want to see, the kind of stars that are being developed, and all the other shit in between. So I just want to tap into that right now, get straight into it. And I'm gonna start off with Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. There was some interviews with a lot of players during the weekend about All-Star weekend, probably adding a one-on-one tournament and who's the best one-on-one player, who's underrated, all this shit. But one that really stuck out to me was in Ant-Man's interview, some of the questions they were asking him and things he was talking about was him saying that he don't want to be the face of the league, right? So I thought that was interesting, especially with him being one of the up-and-coming greats in this league. I think that he's definitely in the top 5 as far as, the recent players, best players in the league, and about to be the new wave of superstars as the older generation starts to kind of move on out of the league, like the LeBrons, the KDs, Stephs, and everything like that. But it's really him up next as the new wave, him, SGA, and you could put a little bit of John there, a couple other players, depending on who you watch or who you like leading the way. Above both of them right now, or 3 of them right now, you could still say, Jokic has the edge there. Although with his personality off the court and his energy, it doesn't seem like he wants all that attention, but he's still one of the best players in the league, better than them all around, and you got to give him that because he has a chip on his shoulder, right? A championship on. He has a championship ring, but I meant to say he carried that on his shoulder getting a championship, right? As obviously SGA, Ant-Man, and John Morant do not have one of those, but they talked about him possibly being a face of the league. I know they're having this narrative out here recently about the American players or American-born players, not really, there's no one really there looking to take the mantle next, or no one really there that could be a face of the league, and it's mainly these guys from out of the country and everything like that. But he said that he knows that he's capable of being a face of the league. He's capable of that kind of, opportunity there, but he don't want to be. And it was funny with his response. He said, that's what they got Wemby for. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, they don't need me. I don't want to be that shit. That's what they got that motherfucker there for that shit. That's what he want to be and all that. And my thing is just like, okay, and I'm sure other people are saying the same thing, like, why not? But I think I kind of get it in the reason why, or just kind of basing it off observing how he carries himself with the game and everything. I think this is a dude right here that he wants to do it his way. He wants to do it on his terms and do it his way. And he wants to just be himself, and he knows that him being himself is not the type of role model that, the NBA wants to put to the forefront and put out there. Especially if you're thinking about it in terms of how, a David Stern in his day when he was around running the league, he wasn't trying to, everybody knew that Allen Iverson was really popular and all of that shit and everything, but he didn't want that motherfucker being the face of the league like that. So it was kind of like he was searching around that time, because there was so many superstars or stars on the come up in that era, all at the same time. You had AI, Tracy McGrady's, Vince Carter's, Kobe Bryant was coming up, Shaq was still in his heyday, you had Tim Duncan. There was a lot of guys, KG, but back to present day is like the way that Ant-Man kind of carries himself, cursing in interviews, he's just being authentically himself, being loose, doesn't really care, just, having fun as a kid in their young 20s, that's balling and doing their thing in their career, should be doing. And, also with where he's from, how he came up, he just wants to be himself. He doesn't, you could tell he wants to do it his way and doesn't necessarily want to have to be like a role model to kids out there, because shit, he probably know the way, especially the way he carrying himself off court in other areas, is like, nah, you don't want to be like this. You don't want to take on all of that. So I think it's part of that is what it is. And I also think that he's a little bit smart enough because I think that Ant-Man is a little bit smarter than what he may want to lead on to the public, and he's a bit of a troller and everything, but I think he's intelligent enough to know how the system works. He knows there's a system and a whole, what I'm saying, thing at play. He knows, and it's just like he probably already kind of hit to it like, yo, it's a your turn, then your turn tournament type league. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like they want to give it. Like he said in that, as as brief and as it probably didn't seem as serious or as deep a line, but so that's what they got Wemby for. There's probably a little underlining that's like, yo, they want to make it his turn next, not me. You know what I'm saying? So fuck it. And he probably was feeling like that last year after in the playoffs. He's like, well, they want Luka in that shit, so fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Not me, because I be cursing in interviews. I be doing what I want to do. I be saying what I want to say in the interviews and shit. I be taking, everyone thinks I'm supposed to be going to the lane all the time, but I just started getting better at my threes, so I want to take my threes as much as I can, because before that, niggas was saying I couldn't shoot a three when I first came in the league because all he was known for was being athletic. He could hit some two-point shots, but mainly dunk on motherfuckers. But, this is a player that's still growing and everything, but I think that his mindset is like, he kind of get how the system works. And me, personally, my opinion, it's like, I see it like that. Like, it is, we've seen it for kind of years now. And if you really open your eyes up and everything, it's like, it's a your turn, then it's a his turn tournament type league. And it's like, yo, all right, we passing the torch when LeBron and them go and everything like that. Okay, it's Wemby's turn now to do this and that. Then it's going to be the next SGA's turn or vice versa, or however you want to interchange it. Because they're a little bit more digestible, personality and media friendly wise to the casual fan, not the hardcore fans that like, no, I know every basketball player, or I know this is my team, or Ant-Man's my favorite player, or OKC's my favorite team, or the Spurs are my favorite team. That, like, to the casual fan, faces like, Wemby and whoever else after him or before him are probably a little bit more digestible, publicly for the average or the casual fan. And to me, I kind of understand where you're coming from, but I think this is that with that mindset and everything and the way that he plays, because he's must-see TV, he's a baller and everything, I take it like this. He might turn into one of those, you might see that kind of realm of player come back, that type of vibe and everything in that era where he might turn into one of those like AI, T-Mac, Vince Carter type legendary people's champ type players and everything like that, to remember, because like I've been saying, man, Wemby and the squad they got over there, it looks like they're gearing up to be a dynasty at some point. You still got some other teams right now, present day, like the Lakers and maybe even OKC, or the Celtics. They're still right now trying to maybe build a little dynasty run. Maybe the Cavaliers get a chip in the next 2 or 3 years also. So you got those teams gearing up to be championship teams and possibly dynasties. And then it's like, yo, if you don't get your rings within this next 2 to 5 year window, and then when the Spurs dynasty, when Wemby starts dominating, taking over, because he looks like he has the mindset and he wants it. He wants to be the face. He wants to be a champion, a multi-time champion. He wants to dominate everybody in the league, all his peers competitively. Once he goes in the hyperdrive with that mindset, it might be a problem. You might not be able to get your rings. So the guys like him, Ant-Man, Ja, SGA, Zion, Jalen Green, you could throw in there. Even the other dudes that are a little older, Trey Young, Brunson, Cat, Donovan Mitchell, if they don't really get their rings now within that window before Wemby or whoever else is coming behind, they may just turn into those type of players where they don't probably get a ring, but they just turn into those, yo, it was mad fun. They used to have the highlights, this, that, whatever, like the Tracy McGrady's, AIs, and the Vince Carters of the world and shit. And for a guy like Ant-Man, I would hate to see that. It would be dope to see him win at least 2 championships in the league and see what he do going forward with that. But you got a lot of competition out there. You still got to go against, like I said, the SGAs, John Morant's, and all that in your own conference. Probably even Zion's and everything in your own conference, wherever he ends up, or if he stays with the Pelicans and really gets to get shit rocking. So, it's kind of tough that, he says he doesn't want to be the face of the league, but, he just want to hoop. He just want to hoop and be a killer, which I like that too. I respect that and fuck with that vibe and everything. And maybe Ant-Man is just, he just want to be himself and be kind of the similar type mindset as a KD. Just be like a KD out there. And I would hate to see it, but maybe if he has a similar mindset like that, I can't envision it with the way that he kind of carries himself a little bit. And sometimes he talks like he has really strong loyalty for staying with Minnesota, but we know this is the NBA, so anything could fucking change. But you can see him with a similar mindset, a KD, like, yo, I just want to be nice and kill niggas and do my thing, do numbers, go crazy and shit. And, if it don't work out here and I don't get a chip and niggas start getting on me, like I ain't the best scorer, the best ball out here, some shit, I'll just be a mercenary and hop to this team and that team and get my rings here and there and just be known as, yo, that nigga used to give niggas work. I mean, if that's what you want to be, hey, that's what you want to be there. And with that, what I took from what he said, the only thing I kind of didn't like was that, he didn't really say that he want to be a champion. He said he wants to. I think he said somewhere along like he wants to win and everything like that, but not being a champion or multi-champion. But I'm pretty sure his mindset is he still wants to be that, even if he might not have said that in that way that I may wanted to hear it or anyone else out there. But who knows? We'll see. He's still young. There's a lot of time to see how this shit develops here, and if he still might end up being the face of the league for as far as U.S. players and everything in the NBA. Next, I just want to get into real quick Draymond Green's takes during the All-Star game and everything, and just tapping real quick, like, was he correct about what he was saying? Yeah, I think he was. Don't nobody want to see no rising stars bullshit like that. What he say, like a U19 team on the floor with the All-Stars that worked hard their whole careers or worked hard the whole season to get on that stage and everything like that. Like, yeah, you sharing it with motherfuckers that's supposed to be a part of it on the first night, maybe the second if you're in the 3-point or in the dunk contest. But nah, not on the same floor as the All-Stars. Like, nobody want to see that shit. But then was Chuck correct about, his response to that? And I also say yes. Like, yeah, I think that Draymond's generation also is partly to blame. I did talk a little bit about that in my previous video, probably my longest video in a while, like this one might be. But it's a lot to tap into here with this whole subject and what's wrong with the NBA and what's wrong with the league when it leads up to this weekend and shit. But I think that Chuck was right that, his generation is to blame with that shit, partly to blame with how they wanted to carry on about this All-Star weekend and shit, and also how they play the game and what matters to them. I'll say this, though, that in previous years, this is why I say partly you could put the blame on them. I've seen LeBron has always played hard in the beginning years of his career. He always played hard in the All-Star game. And the way that he plays and everything, he virtually would get the MVP probably for every single game of the All-Star game. He could monopolize on it basically and be like, yo, I should win. I'm going to win this shit every year, because you see games where he plays like that in the All-Star game from years before, and it's like, damn, he'll wait all the way to the third or fourth quarter and then start going crazy and start running up numbers and then walk out of there with the MVP when the MVP should have went to like Tracy McGrady, or it should have went to a D Wade, or it should have went to a Kobe or someone else or whatever. But he went in there and played hard, so I can't say that. But that was in the beginning part of his career. Later on, and I guess people are trying to pinpoint after when Kobe retired is when it really started dropping off there and they didn't care and shit. That's when, shit kind of got a little crazy and goofy, and niggas didn't really care and everything like that as far as being competitive and stuff. But like I said, I think that you still have to just partly put blame on that generation because they weren't trying to do shit at some point. They didn't want to be too competitive. But, You know, they got to change that shit up. They really do got to change that shit up, and I think that LeBron is kind of just. I spoke about it a little bit before, in the previous volume, that I think that what LeBron did this year in last minute, just calling out, sitting out the game, I think he's kind of just trying to like posture himself or position himself for a narrative down the line in the near future, like next year or whatever, for setting up, the format to be back to East West for next year, and he possibly has a chance to be considered for MVP in that game again, and also keep his, either push his points average or keep his points average or all the other stats average in the All-Star game of his career up. I think he's trying to keep it like there or whatever. So I think that this is what that little play that he did was, like not playing in the game and shit, and not being a part of this bullshit ass format and everything, and just being like, yo, next year let's bring this shit back and really play and really be competitive and really, put it on for how it used to be traditionally. But also, a motherfucker like that, like, you want to go out, of course, it's probably gonna be your little farewell tour, whatever bullshit niggas used to do before. You like, fuck that, I'm coming out on top with the MVP. So, and we're gonna do it in the old format and try and put a show on so that the guys behind us that really care could carry on tradition, like the SGAs and the Wembys, and the K Cunninghams, who look like he really cared about it this weekend. Like, those dudes need to carry the torch. And there's really no space for, motherfuckers that are great and coming up, but they don't want to play like the Ant-Mans and everyone else, or the dudes that were in our generation that didn't want to try anymore. There should be no space for that anymore. So I think he's trying to position himself to be ahead of the narrative on that one in some funny type of way. Now, the other thing, too, with Draymond's point with the Rising Stars is, like, I'll say this real quick, that they needed the Rising Stars because this is how the Rising Star shit kind of got started, to me, to my summation of my theory, right? They need the Rising Star shit because after a while, too many rookies and sophomores ended up being busts, and they wasn't shit because some of these one and done niggas didn't deserve to be in the league, didn't deserve to get drafted, and then some of them after that, after the lotto picks or within whatever 10 to 14 of the lotto picks and shit, they didn't give a fuck about trying to be great or even trying to be good. You know what I'm saying? And then they had to make this Rising Star shit because they were like, damn, there's our top 5, top 10 rookies, they don't even fucking play, or they ain't shit. We don't even remember who they are, or they getting hurt and they sitting out like Zions and shit, and they not. And then the sophomores, you know what I'm saying, that were lottery picks, they fucking suck. They had 2 years of being ass, and they on the bench. They averaged 38 minutes a game on the bench. You know what I'm saying? So then they had to make this Rising Star shit, which at first, yeah, it's a good idea. It's like, okay, we get to see some other young players coming up that we didn't know before, some of the foreign players and shit that we didn't really know at all. We don't know when they got drafted, this, that, or the third. They weren't a lot on shit, but they doing their thing. They doing some numbers when they get off the bench, or they're a role player starter. They doing some numbers this year. Okay, we get to see them. It's a good idea at first, until it seemed like there was some years where some players kind of got stuck in limbo, where they were young vets and they were good or exciting to watch and everything like that, but they weren't quite all-stars, or they weren't being voted to be all-stars. You know what I mean? Because one fact is they're good, but they're not quite good enough yet, and kind of, I wouldn't say aged out, but they've been in the league now. You could say, all right, they're in between third to fifth year during that span with some of those players. Now they in the league and shit. So it's like, well, you're either going to take it to the next level and be an all-star, or you're just going to, whatever, stay right there. But you can't keep just dipping into the fucking rising all-star shit over and over again. Some of these young kids gotta get a name and put their name out there. But then when so many of them rookies and sophomores is bust, or they don't contribute, or they fuck around, gotta go to the G League or go overseas or whatever the fuck they do, you're like, all right, we gotta put them in there. And then you had the other part of that is that when they're stuck in limbo and shit, they're not getting into the All-Star game sometimes because the voting is stuck on autopilot. It's like autopilot voting from household names. Whereas another name, a younger dude, a new face is doing this thing and shit. He ain't never averaged 21 points before, 23 points before, which is not crazy numbers like that compared to the stars, the real All-Stars or Superstars. But he was just averaging only 13 last year. So that's a big jump for him. You know what I mean? He's averaging 21, 6, and 7 or something like that, whereas he was just averaging 13, 4, and 4 the year before. Allow him to hop in the All-Star game instead of just autopilot. Your name, your brain is stuck on autopilot. And like, yeah, James Harden in there. Yeah, Paul George in there. We know he's gonna be in there. Oh yeah, so so in there just cause. Put a new face in there because he's active, he's young, he's a little exciting to watch. He's been in the league for a minute, and he's trying to put his name out there. So I think that's what happens, and now they needed this new version of the Rising Stars because of the lack of the competition, and all that shit. And then another underrated fact that I'll say that I've noticed, I observed with my own eyes, is with my eyes here and shit, watching this shit, watching this shit, is that there's no fucking showmanship. There's no showmanship. And what I mean by that is this, right? When All-Star games were actually good, right? When they were good to watch or fun to watch, it really looked like there was a genuine balance between being competitive and also making it fun and shit like that. Because I did hear there's a clip of Kobe, when he was on, I think, All the Smoke, he was on a podcast with Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson, I think it was. And he was like, these guys, the fans don't want to see you just run and jump around and dunk all day, just shooting threes all day and everything like that. And it's like, yes, we do. We do want to see that. But we don't just want to see that where you're just chucking it up, no defense is being played, or there's no, like, little bit of effort or competitive energy involved. But I feel like when the All-Star games were good, there was a genuine balance of that. You know what I'm saying? The best competed against the best at a certain level of effort and competition. It wasn't OD ratchet up until the fourth quarter or the last, like, 5 to 10 minutes of the fourth quarter. And, you still had some dunks. You still had some deep threes and everything, half-court shots. And you had that energy where it's like, yo, I'm about to match this motherfucker right here. Like, motherfuckers was going dunk for dunk, alley for alley, 3 for 3, bucket for bucket, But, at the same time, they still had a pride for their skills on some, yo, I'm about to show these niggas, like, who the best in here on the whole floor type shit. Like, or I'm going to show that I'm the best guard in my coast going against the best guard on their coast. Like, in their conference. You know what I mean? You seen some of that. It was friendly a bit, but you still had a little bit of, you could see there was a little bit of friendly shit talking and everything like that. But, I feel like there was a genuine balance between it being fun with alleys, dunks, half-court threes, deep threes or whatever, trick passes and everything, but they were still being competitive, best on best, a lot more one-on-one. I'm going to cross him up. I don't need the pick. The only time there should be a pick and roll for an All-Star game I feel like I used to see was when they was doing an alley. You know what I mean? And they would be throwing alleys without the pick and roll. They were doing it off cuts and all that shit, but it was a lot of one-on-one play, or I'm going to see if I could cross you up, get crazy, or I could just shoot a 3 in your eye, or I'm going to just do my signature play, against you. You the best 2 guard on the East Coast, so they say. I'm the best 2 guard on the East Coast, on the West Coast, so they say. So I'm gonna take you to the mid range and show you can't do this or that. I felt like there was a genuine balance of that, and that would be fun to see. That's showmanship right there, though. And there's none of that, And on top of the fact that just show a little bit more pride in their competitive brand. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to their marketing and business brand, because I think that's why motherfuckers don't want to play defense, or they do just want to have a wide open 3 and just jack up a 3 or jack up a half court shot, or just run through the lane and do some little basic ass dunk just cause, like, they jump high in it or they jump with more power, but it's just a basic dunk. It's because motherfuckers want to protect their business and their marketing brand. And when I mean business and marketing brand, I mean social media in the back of their head. Well, now every fan, anybody who's anybody, could just get on their phone and make a meme of you on Twitter or on Instagram or wherever the fuck, TikTok, wherever the fuck, and then they embarrassed for a whole 3 months. Motherfuckers don't like that. So motherfuckers be scared to play defense and all that shit and get put in the mix, get mixed up in a blender like Kyrie did to Wemby right quick. I mean, he didn't make the shot, so it's all right. You still survived, but you got put in the mix. Even though you're one of the best players in the league also, it's okay, it happens, but motherfuckers be scared of that, and then it takes away from the showmanship of like the game or the All-Star game there and shit. And so, show a little, they it's like they're afraid to show a little bit more competitive, a little bit more pride in their competitive brand on the court, so that shit needs to get better, the showmanship of it. Like, I'm the best on my coast at my position, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to show you why. And I'm about to show you why on your coast, the motherfuckers you play ain't shit compared to me. Like, niggas talking a little shit, going back and forth, like, we got the best guards. We got the best guard play in the East or whatever. And I'm about to show you that, where it's like, we got the best bigs in the West. And our bigs they can handle the rock, they could pass, and they could shoot threes also. You better see what's up. Y'all can't do this here. Little shit like that. That's what's missing, is the showmanship there, where there was a balance of both competitive energy and putting on a show for the fans and everything like that, doing trick plays, trick shots, and all type of shit like that. And, just following that, it's like, do niggas even practice together during that weekend anymore? Like, I don't fucking think so. I really don't. It seemed like they used to, because you would see 2 or 3 dudes that don't play on a team together at all. And this is, the previous video I had, is one of the problems with that middle generation there, with the LeBrons, KDs, and what have you and shit, always clicking up with each other and all this shit. They trying to figure out that it's a practice run for them there. But it's like, do these niggas practice with each other anymore during that All-Star weekend? Because I seen a lot of missed alleys, drop passes, niggas not having no synergy together or no want-to attitude to make some highlight shit happen. Like, just poor preparation. Poor preparation for the product of the All-Star game in front of the fans. Like, that shit is missed. That's really what's missing from the game, from All-Star weekend or the All-Star game and everything. It's it's sad to see, because like I was saying, I feel like, I think that I used to see a genuine balance for the most part in games back in the day, and I'm not here to romanticize it. Like, all those games were fucking perfect all the time. Some of them weren't. I look back at the one that was, I think it was in New York, when it was Jordan. It was it was Jordan and Kobe was trying to show out. That game didn't look as pretty and everything like that, but motherfuckers was still trying to compete or show a balance in between. We're going to throw some alleys, we're going to try and do some crazy shit and still try and compete and everything. But, at least they tried that, put on a bit of a show for the fans and still go at each other like, you think you coming out, you better take me out just because I'm older? Nah, I'm about to show you what's up. And there was actually real stars on the court that wanted to play for the most part. I feel like it's what I seen back in the day, and that's what's missing right now. But stars gotta, at the end of the day, stars gotta want to be stars. Stars gotta want to be able to put on the show, and they gotta be able to want to, like, improve the league or make the league, still fun or make it better. So that's my take on that shit right there. I mean, from the Ant-Man shit to what Draymond said, all the way down to how the damn game looks on the court and who's getting selected, who's not, who's the other talent out there that probably does deserve to be in the spot to show what they could do on that stage, as compared to the niggas that's already on there and they don't want to do shit, or they want to call out last minute, or they don't even want any fucking parts of that shit, or playing in that shit. Well, then get them motherfuckers out of there. Go ahead. You can still have your little all-star accolade on your resume and shit, but let the motherfuckers that actually want to put on the show and actually want to ball and compete and be like, I'll bust this motherfucker ass on the East Coast, or I'll bust this motherfucker ass on the West Coast. Put them motherfuckers in the game. We want to see that shit, but Well, on that note, I'll wrap this one up here. This quick little clip up right here. Welcome to the franchise. And y'all out there, be easy.